But somewhere along the line, you changed. You stopped being you. You let people stick a finger in your face and tell you you're no good. And when things got hard, you started looking for something to blame, like a big shadow. Let me tell you something you already know. The world ain't all sunshine and rainbows. It's a very mean and nasty place, and I don't care how tough you are, it will beat you to your knees and keep you there permanently if you let it. You, me, or nobody is gonna hit as hard as life. But it ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. How much you can take and keep moving forward.
And we are finally back.
Finally back. Emphasis on finally back. We've been around the globe, and we're back in Minnesota.
This month has been insane.
Oh, it has been something special, hasn't it?
Let's just never do it again.
Well, I'm excited. I mean, the month is basically over. It's the end of August, the unofficial end of summer, Labor Day coming up here this weekend, but we have a very special guest, somebody I've never met in person, somebody I've never talked to before. A lot of the guests that we've had on the podcast in the past are people that I have a relationship with, whether it be, I do business with them, we're friends, or I've at least met them and spoke to them in person. This man is just the most intense human being I've ever, what's the word I want to use? Like witnessed through social media, through YouTube.
Followed,
motivational. But he's been through some shit in his life as well. One of the best documentaries I've ever seen, My Magnificent Obsession, a Generation Iron documentary on the one and only C.T. Fletcher. And C.T. was kind enough to come and do this podcast. He's a fan of what we're doing on our food brand, Fit
I think
Butters.
it kind of launched off with the Fit Butters, his specialty flavor of Ambrosia with us.
Yeah, the chocolate caramel crunch bar, which is what we call it. They call it the chocolate caramel candy bar. I believe the Ambrosia protein. It's his signature flavor. It's actually like #1/number 2 at Vitamin Shop, along with banana maple. So, but the people at Ambrosia, Sean, Mark, the team was kind enough to hook us up, and we sent some stuff out to CT. CT showed it on social, loved it, and obviously agreed to do this show. So we are excited to bring him on the podcast again. One of the most influential people. He's friends with very, very prominent people in fitness, but he's also friends with one of our favorite celebrities, The Rock. The Rock touts him all the time. More celebrities from my standpoint, Steve Austin from the pro wrestling world. I mean, he's impacted the generation of lifters. If you guys, you probably seen the shirts, it's still your motherfucking set. The acronym on the shirts, the hats, that's his thing. And if you obviously scroll through TikTok or Instagram Reels, if you're looking for motivational speech in the background, guarantee CT Fletcher pops up.
Oh, for sure.
Because you can't listen to him speak
and not be motivated
and not want to lift some heavy ass weight. So, again, I have no idea how this conversation is going to go, but I think it's going to go well, and I think it's going to be educational and eye opening, and it'll be fun for me because I'm not like a fanboy of particularly anybody, but I respect and I admire the journey and what he's gone through.
Definitely.
If you've seen in My Magnificent Obsession, he talks about eating, I think it was like 4 or 5 Big Macs a day, and just all these things so he would be strong as shit. And then fast forward later in life, having a heart transplant or like a open heart surgery, to the point where he could have easily died on the operating table. I mean, about that more than I do. So excited about that. We'll let him kind of speak his own wisdom on that. But a lot of people always want to know, hey, what's going on with Danny and Ryan? Where you guys have been? We went to Europe for 10 days. They went to New York for 5 days, and I go to Chicago tomorrow. So when this podcast drops, I don't know if this podcast is going to drop on Tuesday or Wednesday, but I may already be in Chicago. I'm going back to work for AEW for a couple of TV tapings. But I mean, have you? Let's talk about you for a second. We just found out we're going to have a baby boy.
Yep.
In February. Ryan Jr. It's going to be fantastic. And he's going to be one of the strongest human beings on the planet, about 7'2", just jacked, tan, and all my dreams
sounds like our child.
For sure. No. How are you feeling?
The last few weeks have been better. I would say pregnancy is not kind to me. I don't love feeling the way I do, but I have been feeling stronger. I've been feeling like I can get up and work out like we usually do. I've been getting up at 4 a.m. again, which feels great. But otherwise, this process is hard for me. I mean, we just went through this huge prep, and I got back to a spot where I felt good. And then watching my body go right back to where I was is very difficult. So that's always hard for me. But otherwise, overall, this pregnancy, I'm feeling better.
That's good.
Yeah.
What's your goal? Like you post on social, on your platforms, on you want to have like the healthiest pregnancy, but define what that even means.
I want to, like last time, obviously, I was very active throughout. I literally worked out the day that we had baby. But my biggest goal this time is to be more active and hopefully have an easier recovery. Even though I was able to, lift lighter and like things like that, there are a lot of things that I noticed postpartum that I feel like if I would have done things differently throughout my pregnancy, may have been easier. So that's my bigger focus.
What?
Like, for instance, like I feel like I took things a lot easier, like lighter, faster than I needed to, if that makes sense.
Like weight?
Kind of. Or like even running. Like I would love to be more active in the cardio and that kind of stuff than I was last time.
Okay. I mean, yeah, we can talk it, now you do it and see what happens. I mean, you gained like, 6 or 8 pounds or something? No, it was something stupidly small in your last pregnancy.
The entire pregnancy from start to finish, I gained like 13 pounds.
And baby, and Charlotte was what, like 6 something?
6 pounds and 4 ounces.
Okay, so 6.5 pounds roughly.
But I saw a huge like change in body composition, which was hard.
Well, you lost muscle mass. You put on, you put on blub, right? Like, I mean,
exactly,
that's what
and
you
that's
do.
the reality. And like, I would like to see less of that if possible. And I think this time around, because my appetite and everything is better, I'm hoping that hopefully watching my macros more and eating healthier throughout will also help that.
I mean, I got no doubt you can do it. It's just it's you're counting calories now, and I think you found a method that works for you. Basically, maintenance mode plus 200-300 calories to feed baby. That's my biggest thing as a husband and as somebody who obviously is an advocate for fitness and health. I don't want you to undercut what you're supposed to eat because you're growing a little fucking human being in you that needs to eat.
I think last time around, and whenever I don't count my macros, I always notice I'm way under on protein.
Yeah.
And so that's one big thing that's like a focus this time. Even if my macros aren't perfect, I want to make sure I'm getting enough protein. I
was going to start counting with you, and then I got this Chicago call, and it's like, okay, well, if I'm going to Chicago, I'm not going to drag a scale with me. I'm not going to, I basically been eyeballing my food. I want to make sure I'm lean.
I think you're under eating, if anything.
Oh, for sure.
Right now.
I mean, definitely eating on carbs and trying to keep fats low.
He's so bad. He wakes up and has like a protein shake, and they'll have a protein shake for lunch, and I'm like, how are you not starving?
I mean, I had a chicken and rice bowl today. Like, I mean, I've been breakfast. I typically have been having just a whey protein shake, and then this morning I had 1 serving of oatmeal. But I'm doing it because I want to make sure I don't have any bloat when it comes. Because if I potentially get a TV match or a match even on YouTube, I don't want to look like I'm not fat by any means.
No.
I've definitely put weight back on since prep, and you should. If you don't, you're still being healthy. But you know how it is. Like if you have any type of
inflammation,
gut issue, inflammation, I'm flying there, sleeping in a hotel. Who knows how good of sleep I'm going to get? I'm probably going to be slightly nervous. So there's a lot of factors that go against me to begin with. So if I can control the controllables, which is my intake of food, I definitely hitting my protein goal. I'm eating a shit ton of protein. I'm just lowering carbs, and for a while I wanted to lower fats, but now we're doing this fucking R&D stuff for Fitblers, which we have to do, and it's like testing Fitblers for the whole time. So if I'm lucky, I'll be on YouTube next week for AEW, and then when I get back, here's my thing. If I get on TV, I'm gonna crush a Lou Malnati's pizza. I deserve that. That's my payoff. Come home, start counting, spend time with the family, really dive in and stuff. Because we have a lot of moving parts going on in our businesses right now. We do. Fitness Informant has a lot going on, a lot of product launches. We have Supply Side coming up at the end of October, early November, which I'm speaking at. We have the Olympia that we're going to be there as an exhibitor for Fitblers. We are TBD on if we're going to cover the show for Fitness Informant because you're going to be popping. I'm going to be tired as shit. So a lot going on there. But just to give people an update on the transition on the Fitblers side, we have not done a podcast since we made the announcement that we're moving away from the collabs. So I think we owe it to the people to explain a little bit more in detail on why we're doing that. And quite frankly, it is we need to control the controllables. We need to control everything about our brand that we possibly can. And one of the things that we could not control is the supply chain of other brands. Now, that could also mean containers and lids and et cetera like that, but the flavoring system on something that keeps rising in cost, something that's actually manufactured and is a food grade product, there's a risk associated with using other brands as protein. That is not to say that anything bad would happen, but God forbid a CFR 111 violation gets issued to one of these contract manufacturers who's manufacturing protein for one of the brands that we work with. That then falls back on us. We have to do a national recall. It hurts the brand. We decided to move away from that model so we can control the supply chain, so we can control the flavoring system, and so we can hand select the manufacturer of protein. We went with Pronova. They are the absolute best in the space. They make protein putters and performance putters and flavoring systems for many of the large brands out there. So we have approved about 50% of the SKUs. We're working on the rest. All the new rebrand is done, so you're going to start seeing a new look. Not crazy new look, but just a new look.
You'll recognize us still.
From Fit Butters, which I think is a sexier look, a better look. It's going to display more of what we are and how to use the product. So that's going to start coming out. So it's been fun doing the R&D stuff, but it requires us to eat a lot of butters, but that's fine. So the other question is, are you ever going to have authentic collaborations again with dietary supplement companies? And the answer is yes, we will, if it's selective and strategic on both parts. So for example, like Red Velvet Cheesecake. If we decide, hey, let's bring Red Velvet Cheesecake back next year, we may just go to Doug Miller and Core and say, hey, let's do a collaborative effort here. It makes sense instead of us manufacturing a ton of protein for a limited launch. Now, that being said, it's a very popular flavor. Who knows what we do there? But that's in a nutshell. If it makes sense, we'll do it. But again, at the end of the day, we want to control the controllables. We want to make sure that we have all of our processes tightened up. Last note on Fit Butters, coming out in 2 weeks from this recording of this podcast.
At last.
Finally.
Carrot cake.
Charlie's famous carrot cake. It's a cashew almond blend. It's vegan. It's topped with carrot cake Oreo. Oreo Mondelez, if you're listening or watching, please do not discontinue the Oreo. The carrot cake Oreo, we kind of need that in this flavor. And I bought a lot of labels. So if you discontinue it, that means I'm throwing a lot of stuff in the trash.
Yep.
And we're going to piss some people off. So we have quite a bit. We're manufacturing a ton here this week, next week. We're excited about this flavor.
Super excited. We've only been talking about it the entire summer.
The entire summer. We've ate so many carrot. We literally became unhealthy from this launch. We ate so many slices of carrot cake. I'm not going to miss it, but I'm going to miss it.
I don't crave
sometimes.
it anymore.
Depends on which one it is.
I think we've had like so many.
I still crave True Luck.
True Luck's
because I didn't know if it was as good as we thought it was.
I think we were also on prep, so it might have been a little better than we thought, but it was very good. It also has like a caramel sauce that I think just makes it better.
It's always the caramel sauce with you. It's like, hey, you wanna please your girl, figure out whatever sweetness that she likes and just drizzle it all over your body. Walk into the room, and then she'll probably run away like mine would. But that's okay. All right. Well, I'm excited. I want to get to the podcast with CT. I want to dive into the conversation. I want to know, I haven't watched the documentary in a while, so I can't remember everything from it. So I'm excited to revisit some of the stuff from the documentary. Now him being a hands-on father with his son Samson, I believe his name is, who is another strong guy they have. The Iron Addicts Gym out in California, which I know Mark and Sean are part of that as well in Ambrosia. So let us pipe down, hold our tongues, and bring in the legend, the myth. Not the myth.
The real deal.
He is the real fucking deal.
The real deal.
It's still your motherfucking set.
Yeah, that's right.
Let's go.
Let's go.
For the last 2 decades, we have been the best kept secret of the supplement industry. We've kept our heads down and worked. We pioneered full label transparency and full therapeutic doses because we believe that truly hard work requires truly effective tools. 2 decades is a long time to commit to one pursuit, but when you act with purpose and become centered in yourself, Eventually, you realize that you were born and bred for this. The things you once thought impossible, you now do every day. We don't like the easy way, it just doesn't feel right. We'll take the long, hard road over a shortcut any day. It takes longer, sure, but in the end, you know you earned it. And with the right team behind you, pushing yourself further than you've ever been would be just another afternoon doing what you love most.
Adding my product is going to help you get to where you want to be.
5%ers is 5% of the people in the world that are willing to do whatever it takes to reach their goals. We're talking about business, success, education, willing to do whatever it takes.
Whatever it takes.
Whatever it takes.
Whatever it takes.
The legend himself, CT Fletcher, joining the Booty and the Beast podcast. It's an honor to act. I mean, I was telling Danny, I've met so many people in this space. Jay Cutler, all these big, my first guest ever was Ronnie Coleman on the show. But you have been, this is just magnificent to have you on, my friend. So thank you for doing this.
Well, I don't know how magnificent it is, but I appreciate that. You already had the King of Kings there, Ronnie Coleman, and Jay Cutler, the Prince. So you're stepping down now, man.
Oh, come on.
Oh, I wouldn't say that.
We were talking before you came on with the invention of Instagram and TikTok. Like, you are going to live on forever, because anybody who creates a reel or any sort of motivational workout video, it's like you are the first choice to put in the background with all the things you said.
Motivational, everything.
That's crazy to me, but I think I heard a few of them, and that's just unbelievable, man.
All right, give me this. I know you're a pro wrestling fan. I'm also a pro wrestler, so I know when it goes into the art of promo and storytelling, you're a gifted god at doing this. The things that you've said over the years that have been documented, YouTube and things of that nature. How much thought went into that, or did you just on the fly think of it?
Absolutely, everything was 100% on the fly.
Love it.
So your buddy Steve, Stone Cold Steve Austin, I saw you just posted about him the other day, or actually today, I think, on the Kurt Angle video. He has he's got his famous Austin 316 promo. You have the "It's Still Your Motherfucking Set." So how, did that just come out of nowhere?
Absolutely. Well, it came from a workout. Me and my good buddy Big Rob were working out one day, and he got. He said, "Hey, CT, I got to go throw up, man. This shit is getting too rough." After he got back from throwing up, I said, "Hey, just wipe all that shit off your mouth, and because it's still your motherfucking set." Rob did it. Let's go, man. So it was, instantaneously just my response to him saying he had to throw up.
That phrase became so popular. It's a merchandise seller. It's literally the mantra that I think a lot of people in the gym live by now. So it's how long ago was that?
That was 2013.
So, I mean, not that long ago, less than 10
Nope.
years. So,
Yeah.
All right, man, look, we got to hear now. We were telling viewers on the opening here, it's like, obviously you have the documentary. A lot of things in your life is well documented. You've lived online and social proof. Danielle is a former RN in cardiology. So she's super interested to hear about your health and how you're doing health-wise. So how are you doing after all your major surgeries?
Okay, I'm glad. Cardiologist. Okay, a cardiology nurse.
Yep, I worked on actually a floor that did all the heart transplants, the major heart failure, LVADs, all of that. So I was like, oh my gosh, he had a heart transplant. I know all about those. I took care of those patients. I can't imagine what the nurses that took care of you went through. But
so you absolutely know some of the inside, and you know that getting the heart transplant, first of all, is not an easy thing.
oh no, people wait forever and sometimes never get one. So it's amazing.
Absolutely. People don't realize that. They think, once you get on the list, that's it. And you're going to, but that's a whole lot of people don't make it while waiting on a transplant. That's the first thing. And then a lot of people think that after you get a heart transplant, you're back to 100%. You're just as good as ever. And that's absolutely untrue, as you know.
Oh, 100%.
The medications, just the medication that you have to take, every day for the rest of your life, however long that is, do a major job on you, so they can mess you up.
They do.
Quality of life is a big deal after a heart transplant.
How do you feel since the whole surgery?
Well,
I know it's been years, but
yes, it's 2018. So I feel absolutely blessed to have this extra time, borrowed time that I wasn't supposed to get, because while waiting on the transplant, I actually flatlined a total of 5 times.
Oh.
And so they kind of bumped me up on that last one.
Oh my gosh.
When I got, had the last flatline, they bumped me up a little bit. Hey, we better hurry up before this guy don't make it.
Yeah, definitely. Were you on a lot of medications and different things before when you were waiting for the heart transplant?
About 15 different meds.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And, the medications, the side effects of the medications sometimes make you feel pretty near as bad as you did before you got your transplant. Mm-hmm. And people don't realize that. The side effects are rough.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. They are pretty rough sometimes. Then it's a balance of quality of life, and then the doctors have to also worry about your numbers. Your blood pressure and heart rhythm. They have to worry about it's a balancing act all the time just to keep us transplant people going.
Definitely. And there's a lot of increased risk with the medications and infections and different things that go along with the anti-rejection meds. And yeah, I think a lot of people don't think of the aftermath and even the people who are getting the transplant. I remember a lot of people are amazed at the meds.
Yeah, the medications, I'm the fuck excuses guy. And, no matter what happens, you got to keep going. And that's why, a week after my transplant, a month after my transplant, I fell flat on my face trying to run across a parking lot. I was, I'm going to show everybody that this shit ain't going to stop me. My will is stronger than all this medication and all this. I'm going to show them that nothing can stop the old man from doing it. I took about 5 steps and bam. Kissing the parking lot. Yeah.
I know they say when you get a transplant of this nature, sometimes you can not necessarily take on the personality of the person whose heart it was, but maybe feel something or something that's not necessarily yourself. Do you have any experience with that, or do you feel like CT always felt outside the complications I think that come with it?
Well, I feel mostly, I'd say 85%, just like I did before. Mentally, I feel just like I did before. Mm-hmm. But absolutely, there's some things that happen now that are unexplainable. I'll get a strange scent that nobody else can smell but me. I'm like, wow, this is, and I, as crazy as it may seem, I actually talk to my donor quite often, in right up here, I have conversations with her. I feel her. It was a lady, by the way. I have a lady's heart. Mm-hmm. So I feel her quite a bit. I feel her spirit.
That's great. I mean, what type of information do they give you? Are you able to speak to like family members, send thank you? I mean, I have no idea how it works.
Yeah, no, your wife knows that. She knows that they don't allow you. You can write a letter, which I did. I wrote a letter to the family of the donor, expressing to them, try to express to them, which you never can, how grateful you are for the gift of life, and how much it means to me, and I do everything in my power to honor that sacrifice that they made. I wrote that down, I sent it to them, and they never responded. But that's all you can. That's all I can do. I hope that they somehow can figure out that where the heart went,
Right.
and that I'm trying to do my best to honor the sacrifices their family member made for me.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
Obviously, in before the heart transplant, you made decisions that came to bodybuilding. I've made those same decisions in bodybuilding. What do you tell the youth now who's going out there and taking it? I mean, bodybuilding has always been an extreme sport. We all know you can look at somebody who's 380 pounds overweight. That's unhealthy. You can also look at the winner of Mr. Olympia and also say that's unhealthy. Like, I mean, that type of lifestyle is not sustainable. What type of advice have you been giving to the youth who look up to you? Because you went through this. You know the decisions that you have made. What's the best advice you can give so that way people can hopefully live a long, prosperous life where they don't necessarily have to go through everything that you went through, because there is no guarantees there?
Absolutely. Now, by the decisions that I made, I've advocated against the use of anabolic steroids for many years,
Mm-hmm.
and I told people, when I was a youngster, 21, 22 years, I had people come to me, and the biggest regret that I have is letting somebody persuade me to do something that I thought was not good in the first place.
Right.
I didn't think it was good, but I let people talk me into it, and I hate that, because I'm supposed to be Mr. Strong Will, the strongest will on the planet. I had people persuade me or let them talk me into saying, "Hey, you can do this." At my, in the beginning when I started out, Mr. America
Mm-hmm.
was an even bigger title than Mr. Olympia.
Right.
Mr. America was the title that everybody wanted to vie for. That was the tippity top. And I entered my first few contests, and they were like, "Hey, man, what are you taking? What is this?" And I didn't even. If people don't believe me, and I don't, I explained to them, but I don't really care what it is. I didn't even know what a steroid was until I entered an actual bodybuilding contest. They said, "Oh no, there's no way." And I had 20-inch arms, and I didn't even know what it was. and guys said, "Oh, you what? You don't know? You have all this potential. You could be Mr. America if you just do this." And back then, it wasn't illegal. You just go to your doctor, get a prescription, and I went right to Kaiser Pharmacy and took my prescription, went right to Kaiser Pharmacy. I was working at the post office at the time, and got my prescription for my steroids and tried it out for about 6 months. And to me, it still was the worst decision I ever made, because first of all, I let somebody talk me into it. And that bugs me to this day. I wish I had done that shit to this day because of that. And I want kids. My son now is a weightlifter, and he's competing and stuff, and he's leading the drug-free charge, because I can't, I can't go back and live with what my son is leading the charge for drug-free, and I'm going to represent that. I'm going to let the kids know that they have a fucking choice, and hopefully they won't be facing. Guy said, "Look, if you do this, you can be Mr. America, and you're going to have to throw mail sacks for a living.
Right.
You could be on the cover of magazines." That was mighty tempting to a 21-year-old kid. I'm like, fuck these mail sacks. I want to lift weights for a living, because I always, I love lifting weights, and that was too much temptation for me to pass up. So I had to at least give it a try. But I want to let kids know that they have a fucking choice.
Right.
Because there's a lot of kids out there that are naturally strong, naturally built, and and they're probably getting accused of taking steroids, just like I was, from the beginning. And they're going to get people that offer them because they have approached my son already.
Oh, yeah.
"Man, you're this strong without you benching 500 pounds. If you did this," they're doing the same thing. That was fucking 40 years ago for me, and now they're still doing the same thing. Right. So I tell people all the time, he's much stronger than I ever was, because he didn't say, yeah. He didn't say, "Yeah, I'll try it. I'll give it a shot." He was able to, withstand all of the temptations and the promises that people make. So I say he's much, much stronger than me.
I mean, you were already, right, correct me if I'm wrong, but heart failure or heart problems, was that genetically kind of runs in your family?
Absolutely. My mother and all 9 of her brothers and sisters all passed away. There was 10 kids altogether, and they all passed away from heart problems.
That's insane. I mean,
So sad.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were talking beforehand. She's like, it runs in the family, and then obviously you lived a pretty hard lifestyle with the weight that you're lifting, the diet that you're on. A combination of everything plus your predisposition to this happening. It was like a recipe for failure, almost, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, my older brother Walt, who was a year and a half older than me, he didn't lift weights at all, but he ate whatever he wanted to, and he passed away before he made his 60th birthday. He wasn't 60 years old, so it's like I said, it's predestined, but with the eating habits alone, if I wasn't, lifting all the weights, if I just ate bad, like my big brother, he couldn't, he couldn't, food was a temptation for him that he couldn't resist.
Right.
And he also was opposed to surgery. He wouldn't have he would not have had a transplant even if they offered it to him. He would not have taken a heart transplant. He was definitely afraid of getting cut off. No, I'm not going to let him cut me open. He's seen what happened to me after my first open heart surgery, and he's like, oh, no, I'm not doing that.
Because you had 2 surgeries?
Yeah, one in 2005, right?
So
earlier.
What happened with the first one then? Did it not take? Is that?
No, it was aortic valve.
Oh, gotcha.
The first time aortic valve went out, and I had to have emergency open heart surgery to replace the valve in 2005.
So then you went from 2005 to 2018 then before the transplant. Did the doctors at that point in 2005 kind of give you sort of a heads up like, hey, there's going to be a point in your life where you're going to need to get this ticker replaced?
No. I thought after the valve, I was good to go, man.
A lot of people get valve replaces and don't need anything else.
Yeah, I was raising quite a bit of hell after I got that. After the first surgery, I lost a lot of weight, and then all the YouTube stuff and all the videos like that was, after the first surgery, and I was 53 years old before I even ever got on YouTube. So everything that people see, all the yelling and cussing and stuff like that, I was in my 50s then.
That's awesome.
Is it crazy to you when you got somebody like Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, posting on his Instagram about how influential you are to somebody like him when he's lifting weights and using the iron as his anchor?
Absolutely. It's so I tell my wife, and sometimes it feel like I actually did die. Okay, sorry.
No, you're good.
Sometimes I tell my wife it feels like I actually did die on the operating table, and my life now is just a dream.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Because you guys, you worked out with The Rock, right? Did you guys work
No.
out? Okay.
I met him at the gym. We were doing a convention, and I met him at it was a gym also inside where we were doing the convention. I met him in the gym just one time. We got to talk a little bit. We talked about our dads and how similar our upbringing was. And we became pretty good friends, and he stayed in contact ever since then.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's great. And I'm sure you've told this story multiple times, but what led you to the iron? What led you to the gym?
I would say the first influence was a cousin of mine named Junior Miles. This guy was in and out of prison all the time. But whenever he got out, he would come by and see my mom. And I'm a little kid, and I would look up, and here come this guy with he looked like he had 30-inch arms to me. And he was very, very well respected. And as a little kid, I'm like, man, even though he was, a jailbird, he was still very well respected. And I always remember they let him out for his mom's funeral. One of my favorite aunts. They let him out for the funeral, and he came in handcuffs, and he had a guard, and with him there, they just allowed him for the funeral. And And after the funeral was over, they had a little thing at his mom's house, and everybody was laughing and joking, and having a pretty good time. And Junior did not appreciate everybody being so gay, after his mom's funeral. So handcuffed with an armed guard, Junior said, "Everybody, shut the fuck up." And you can hear a fucking pin drop when Junior said that. So me as a little kid, I was like, damn.
Yeah.
He handcuffed, he got a guard, and everybody respected him so much, even under those circumstances. You could, like I said, you could hear a fucking pin drop, the dog stopped barking,
That's insane.
water stopped running.
Oh my gosh.
Everybody froze when Junior said that. And I said to myself as a little kid, I want to be just like him.
And you did.
that.
I mean, like, so was he obviously being locked up? And I have my middle brothers in and out of prison their whole life. All you can do is, back then, now you can email and do all these other things, right? But like back then it was read books, workout. I mean, those are like the two things you got to do. So I'm assuming he was just clanging and banging while he was there.
Yep, that's it. And he come out, man, he was, he looked like Mr. America, if Mr. America lived in Compton. That's how he looked.
So then what was the first gym that you went to, and did you have any clue like what the hell you were doing?
I had a little clue because of Junior Miles, my cousin, and Jim Britt was actually my first trainer. And, they taught me, Jim Britt taught me how to work out, really. My dad bought me and my brother a set of weights from the swap meet when I was like 8, 9 years old.
Oh, wow.
So the only thing I knew how to do really was curl, because my dad didn't believe in weightlifting. He said weightlifting, was a waste of time.
Mm-hmm.
And he told me that the guys, when I was growing up, guys with weightlifters, they was just for looks, but they couldn't really fight.
Mm-hmm.
And man, boy, I was pissed when he said that. I was like, oh yeah. So we didn't really get along that good anyway, man.
Family, obviously, it seems. I mean, your son, and I just saw you had more little ones pop up on here. How important is family to you at this point? Obviously, it's important at all points of life. But now, where you're at, what you've been through. When you think about your family, how important is that to you?
It's absolutely the most important thing in my existence. Period. Is my family. My family. That's I think with anybody. But just, that little one, that's Samson's oldest son. Well, that's their second oldest son. Mm. And he's grandpa's boy. And he, and just think, I would not have seen him had not the transplant been successful. I think about that all the time when I see him running up and down and jumping on there's so many of my grandkids. I have 19 grandkids.
Oh, wow.
And I would not have seen, so many of them had not the transplant been successful. So anybody ask me how I'm doing, I'm blessed, man. I'm blessed. I'm blessed all the time. Right. I'm just blessed.
Do you feel like you value family the same amount before the surgery, or is it more after?
No, I value my family. Just, I don't know if it's possible to say more, because I valued the hell out of them before.
Oh,
there's my reason for living, my reason for existing, for doing everything was always, to try to make it better for my family. To start a business, I started Iron Addict, so my kids wouldn't have to go punch a clock, 40 some 28 years like I did. Because I hated all 28 of them years. Because I didn't like working for other people. I always wanted to have my own business and start my own, and I thought at the age of 53 that was never going to happen. And some guy comes stumbling in the gym, named Arash Babu from Strength Project, and he says, "Hey, CT, you want to be on Instagram? You want to be on YouTube?" And I go, "What the fuck is YouTube?" I had no idea what YouTube was. So I'm a popular guy today. People
Yeah.
keep calling me.
Yeah, you are.
Anyway, I'm like, I don't know what the fuck YouTube is, man, but that started it all. We made one video called "The Strongest Man You Never Heard Of," and that, it was off to the races after that.
It's funny. I mean, the Iron Addicts, like when you first, I had to bring up like Mark Lobliner and Mike Rashid and Sean Turbati and the people at Ambrosia, because they're first and foremost, like you mentioned, family. Like those guys to us are like family. They're great, and I'm sure same can be said with you. But when they first announced that you were being part of the Ambrosia family, I thought to myself, that's an interesting partnership, just because like Iron Addicts and like it's still your motherfucking set, right? And then Ambrosia, unique formulations, really cool stuff. What brought you and gravitated you to a brand like that? I mean, they make phenomenal stuff, but it just seemed a little bit, for lack of better terms, it seemed a little bit more soft than what people know about CT Fletcher.
Well, you have to remember that Mike Rashid was one of the original Iron Addicts.
Mm-hmm.
He started out with me, in the beginning. So he approached me first, and that's my boy. So total shift after, having a heart transplant. You try to be as healthy as possible. That's the least I can do for my donor. I mean, I owe her that to try to, live out the rest of the life that she wasn't able to live out. So you look for the healthiest possible alternatives that you can. And when they started telling me about Ambrosia and how healthy it was, and I was on board big time. So that was I'm looking for the healthiest thing possible. Right. It's like Fit Butters. I'm looking for the healthiest alternative always. I just can't believe how good that fucking peanut butter tastes.
We tried. We tried our best. I mean, we love
that one's my favorite.
Yeah,
so.
we love working with Mark and Sean, and then they've been great to work with. And so when we pitched it to Sean's like, hey, we're gonna, because we like Lobliner's Outright Bar. He's got that Twix Outright Bar, and I'm just like, what if we create a butter like this, And Sean's like, we want to use it and CT flavor. I'm like, yeah, that'd be great. Little did I realize, and this is for the listeners and viewers too, like CT Fletcher signature flavor, the chocolate caramel candy bar, is number one. It bounced between number 1 and 2 at Vitamin Shop between banana maple. They're both Ambrosia proteins, both vegan proteins, but I think yours is number 1 now, which is pretty cool. Like, I mean,
oh yeah,
CT Fletcher plant protein number 1 at Vitamin Shop. But we love that one. It's great. You mentioned, Danny asked you about valuing family more after the surgery. Like, what things do you value more now after surgery? Like, what things kind of like, obviously that maybe prior to the surgeries you maybe took for granted or didn't put much thought into, but then since you were literally, there's no guarantee on that surgery. Like, how?
Even after the surgery, and that's one thing I think a lot of people don't know, like, you get done with the surgery. Well, after the surgery, there is a ton of risk. There's a ton of things that go into post-surgery. You never really get to a perfect, clear spot.
Right.
You're always kind of at a risk. You're always, it's really a fight every day after a transplant.
Absolutely. As they put you in isolation. I was in isolation for a while because I did get an infection during the surgery, and it was it is not. People think that once you get the surgery, then you're all good, everything is wonderful, but hell no. I mean, when you're first starting out, just to walk, they have you walk around the ward, the hospital, and just to make one lap around my floor, that was like the victory lap. And I felt like I ran the fucking Boston Marathon. I was so happy to be able to walk all the way around that floor. So it's like starting all over again, man.
It is.
Were there things in your life that, post surgery, you're like, I'm much more grateful for this now, having gone through a near death experience? Is there anything like that stands out to you?
Oh yeah, I'm more grateful for everything. The things that you take for granted, because when I was a youngster, I thought I was indestructible. Mm-hmm. That's when I used to, like I said, somebody got to be the baddest.
Right.
That's one of the things. I think it's a long line of bad motherfuckers, but somebody got to be the baddest. And as far as I was concerned, that was me.
Right.
I thought I was bulletproof, indestructible, and nothing could hurt me. And I never planned as a young man, I never planned on living a long time anyway. I figured, you know, if I made it to 40, man, I was doing good. You know, back when you're 15, 16, 40 seemed like a long way off.
Yeah,
But man, I tell you, you know, open every morning when you just open your eyes. When I open my eyes every morning, I'm grateful. You know, thank God for another day. I get to grab these grandkids and give them a kiss. You know, just the simple things that you take for granted now, that everything becomes more magnified, more intense. Because I've had the experience of talking to someone just like I'm talking to you two right now, and the next minute I'm flatlined. I'm dead. And I mean, I was at home, and there was no, you know, crash cart or doctors around or anything. And I'm there. I'm talking to my wife one minute, and the next minute I am gone. So I know how fleeting and, you know, life is just, there's no guarantee about life. So every day, every action, all the things, smelling flowers and everything is so much more amplified since the transplant. Everything, I'm just so grateful for everything. People say, well, CT, you did this, CT changed my life, and I am as nothing can be. I am so worthless because I had no control whatsoever over me being here and not being here. It was nothing. I didn't do anything. Mm-hmm. I had no control over it whatsoever. I'm laying here at the mercy of God and my doctors, and that's it. And so I didn't do anything. It was all up to them. They did.
Right.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, I mean, I get where you're coming from when you say those things, but I mean, yeah, the amount of people that you've impacted, whether it was they discovered you on YouTube and went to the gym, and a lot of people say bodybuilding in the gym saved their lives just because it gave them something to obviously look forward to or lose weight. I think there's a lot to be said about the influence that you've had on a huge population of people, which, I mean, when you're 15, 16 years old thinking you're going to live till 40, you probably never had a dream or admiration of being that guy, but you are that guy. So the question is, what is there left that you want to do? Because, I mean, you know, for Danny and I talk about times like, here's a bucket list of things that I want to accomplish professionally, personally. What are some things that CT wants to still accomplish in his days?
Well, I want to make sure that the Iron Addict legacy is secure, and I want my family to have the option of, if they want to go work at AT&T or the post office or the police force or whatever, dig and ditch, whatever, they can. Mm-hmm. But I want them also to be able to work for Iron Addicts if that's their choice. I want to leave that legacy. I want to leave the business to them, and I want to, leave the legacy of I want people to say that old man, he was real. Yeah. Absolutely. I want him to say he was real. And he was fucking trying. He went out trying, man. He did his absolute fucking best.
Hell yeah.
I would say that you are well on your way of accomplishing all that. I know we're coming out to California. It's because as your Iron Addicts, you had several locations that franchised the name. Now, California is still the big baby, right? Out in Cali's, right? Yeah. So we're coming out to California in December. I mean, we're gonna have to make a point to come because I can't.
Absolutely.
I cannot lift at the most hardcore gym in California for sure. Yeah. So
love
there you go.
I'll be very pregnant, but we can do that.
Yeah. We definitely
don't expect no mercy.
Yeah, no. we'll go into labor at Iron Addicts. That'd be a story right there. Why not? So we appreciate the time, CT. Like, your story is unbelievable. If people want to know more, they can obviously follow you on social media, watch your YouTube, check out the documentary, or go to TikTok or Instagram, because every motivational speech is it's either The Rock or it's CT Fletcher, and you can't really go wrong with either at this point.
Nope.
We appreciate you, buddy.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.